Did you know that your tow vehicle actually carries some of your trailer's weight?
Do you know if you're towing safely?
This week we are reporting on a hitch that we've been using that tells us if we're in the safe zone.
How good is the WaySafe hitch? And how does it compare to the other hitches that we've been using?
We have those answers in this week's podcast and on our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com or YouTube or wherever you enjoy getting podcasts.
Towing safely, that's
Stressless Camping.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
Two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
In this Rockwood Mini Light,
that we tow safely. We're looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips
tricks,
and discounts.
We are going to talk about towing safety, but first we're going to talk about something very, very sad. Some of you are seeing the end of the season, although it's, I feel, unseasonably warm.
Yeah.
Maybe this is seasonably warm. I don't know. It's almost October and it's 70-something degrees and humid outside still.
Yep.
But those of you who are going to have to winterize at some point.
Did you know that 1 in 3 RVs is basically affected by rodents? They chew wires, they cause damage, and they're just gross.
Yeah, they're just gross. I think we have been super lucky. Well, not entirely lucky, because part of the reason that we're super lucky is that we use Grandpa Gus mouse repellent. I spritz it on the tires. I spritz it kind of all under the trailer in a spray form, and then we get the pouches and we put those in the corners of the RV. And not only does that help repel mice and apparently spiders, but we don't care that much about spiders, but it also smells so good in here.
Yeah, it's what, cinnamon and cloves or something like. It's
and
a natural,
peppermint. Yeah.
And it's a natural product. And you might say to yourself, why wouldn't I just use cinnamon and peppermint my own self? But what happens is the smell dissipates rather quickly. And I don't know what they do with this Grandpa Gus stuff, but the smell tends to last for a good long while. Certainly while your RV may be in storage.
Right.
And so we recommend it highly. We use it ourselves, and you can get it from the link in the show notes or with this QR code right here. There's a whole story about it in it, Purdy.
So we have been on the road since August 1st. It is now the end of September somewhere. I don't know. And we have done a lot of miles, and we have been testing out a new WaySafe hitch.
Yes. One of the things I really like about it is it's got an integrated scale built right into the head. Why do you need a good weight distribution hitch? Well, think of your tow vehicle, that's your left hand, and your trailer, that's your right hand. And think about a wheelbarrow, right? When you lift up the back of the wheelbarrow, the weight is transferred to the front wheel. And you want that because the steering on your vehicle, if you put a heavy load on the back of your tow vehicle, whatever that might be, it actually acts like a teeter-totter and lifts the weight off your steer axle on your vehicle. That's not good for a lot of reasons. One of which is you have less control. You have poorer braking performance. And, you know, in extremes, it can really affect your handling. It makes towing and driving with a trailer much more kind of jittery and nervous.
It makes your lights go higher and get in the driver's eyes coming at you. So they constantly are flashing you to turn your brights off when you don't have your brights on.
Yeah, it's just bad news. And so we have had now 3 different weight distribution hitches, and the newest one is this WaySafe hitch. And the WaySafe hitch, basically the way it works is there's that little scale on the tongue. So you attach your tow vehicle to your trailer, and the little scale tells you how much weight is pushing down on the ball of the hitch. And then there's an app that comes with, that you download. It's a free app. And you have these calculations that it does. So you tell it you've already told it where your hitch is, how far it is from the different axles. All these parameters you put into this app one time, and then from there it tells you where to adjust the hitch so that you're towing optimally. And a lot of times you don't have to make an adjustment because nothing changed. But the fact that you can make an adjustment, I think, is a real advantage of this hitch. But let's back up a little bit. Putting on the hitch, we did it ourselves. We actually didn't have to hire somebody.
Yeah, that was nice. And we didn't have to cut the frame of our trailer.
Well, right.
Which we have done in the past. And so we received the hitch, you know, by mail or shipment, whatever. All the components were there, which is nice. All the components were nicely packaged. Things were well labeled. The instructions were pretty easy to read. I mean, there's some steps to it. So it's not going to be like one picture and you're done. It takes some doing, but it was not difficult. It was not confusing. I don't recall backing up and trying to reread any parts to get it right.
I was very pleased with how the packaging was. Everything came in beautifully. And then, as Peggy said, the instructions were very clear. It was printed in color. And also, there's a QR code. So Peggy actually read the written instructions, and I watched the video. And the video really helped me understand it, and the written instructions worked. So, everybody's mind is different.
Yep.
So that really helped us to get this done. Now, I was kind of losing sleep because I perceived, and a lot of times the reality of stuff is much less troublesome than the actual, or the thinking of stuff is worse than the reality.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I have to do all this and that. Truthfully, it was really actually easy. One of the things you will want is a torque wrench to adjust the torque of certain bolts, because some of the bolts are torque to this spec.
Right.
And we have an article about the air gear tire changing kit, which we'll link here somewhere, and also in the show notes. And that comes with a torque wrench. So another reason to have a torque wrench.
Yep.
So then once you've got everything on, and it's, like I say, you have a tape measure and a torque wrench, you're set. So everything goes on, and that's where you put it. The app asks you a number of questions about what position the hitch is in, how far it is from the middle axle on your trailer, how far it is from the front of your truck, and things like that. So you just have to put all that in one time, and then you put the trailer on the ball, and it shows the weight of the ball or of the trailer on that. And that's why I always say the trailer, your truck or tow vehicle, carries about 15% of your trailer.
Right.
So then you input that number into the app, whatever it shows on the scale, and it tells you how to adjust the hitch properly. And to do that, again, you'll want a wrench. It comes with a wrench, but I like my fancy wrench. But anyway, you loosen a nut and adjust a tightening screw on the top of the hitch, and now you are all adjusted properly. It actually sounds worse than it is. It's really not bad. And like I say, you may not have to adjust it much. I'm sorry.
Right. No, that's okay. You may not have to adjust it much. You don't necessarily have to go through that process every time. Once you have it set, as long as your trailer doesn't change much, you're pretty set. Now, if you boondock for 4 days, and so all of a sudden all your weight from your fresh water is now in your gray water, and you've changed the weight distribution of your trailer itself, then you might have to make little adjustments to that hitch. But as long as your trailer doesn't make significant changes in what is on that ball, then you're not going to be making that adjustment every single time.
Right. Yeah. And especially if you have a toy hauler, those can change the weight front to back of your trailer significantly.
Oh, sure.
On our trailer, the freshwater tank happens to be behind the axle, which is unusual, and it's 54 gallons. So what is that times 8 for 400, and it's like 430 pounds of fresh water. That could really affect the tongue weight, right? Because again, it's like a teeter-totter, as
Right.
Jeff said. We have a quick video from Jeff Gaston from my RV school who helped us dial in the hitch. So essentially, once we had everything dialed in according to the instructions, one of our first stops was the frog rally. And this is one of the reasons that we recommend going to these things.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I'm going to ask Peggy to cut in a video of the first time we towed with this hitch. All right, we are in our first ride. So these are the initial impressions of the WaySafe hitch. What a difference. It's funny, we really did like the other two hitches that were provided to us to try quite a bit. And now this one just, I'm at a stoplight, that's why I'm sitting like this. What a sense of balance with the truck. I don't know how else to describe it. It just feels right. So far, so good. The good or bad news is that we are on our way from New Mexico to Texas. So we'll definitely get to try the sway control portion, because that highway is always windy. And some people think it's also the Indianapolis 500 and that they should go as fast as possible. So I'll give you more impressions as we head down the road, but initial impression is very, very positive. I will say, in my mind, knowing how many calculations and specifics this hitch required, I was a little apprehensive about the whole, hooking it up and all. But the reality is, it's just pretty straightforward. Nothing complicated, and the packaging and the hitch itself, everything is just first rate. The instructions, I like that there was printed instructions, which Peggy can decipher. I cannot really read things and get anything out of them, and which is odd considering that I'm a writer, right? But Peggy read the instructions and it made sense to her. I like that there was a QR code on the hitch that was a video, and that made it easy breezy for me. So so far, first impression, this thing is fantastic. And don't let the calculations and all that dissuade you from this hitch. It helps the hitch be better suited for the circumstance. And once you get it dialed in, it's just dialed in. And boy, is it feeling good. So, all right, we're heading to the highway, and we'll keep testing, and I'll keep recording, because there's nothing better than a fat old guy driving a truck. So, now that you know why you need weight distribution, another helpful thing is sway control, right? Because essentially you're pulling a barn down the road. It's a big box that's slab-sided, and so wind passing trucks, especially cattle trucks,
For whatever reason.
Yeah. Man, those guys, they go full bore, man. I think they have two speeds. Floor it and don't go. And those trucks tend to cause, at least for us, a lot of sway when we're going on the opposite direction on a 2-lane road. And I noticed that I have been very, very, very pleased with the hitch's ability to control sway. So weight distribution, I don't think there's a better hitch for that. Sway control, it was really, really good.
So Tony mentioned that we had gone to the frog rally, and we love to go to rallies for many, many reasons, but almost always there's someone there that will weigh your whole RV setup. Now, we have had it done by a couple different people, but our friend Jeff Gaston from My RV School was at the Frog Rally in Elkhart in August, or Goshen, but anyway. And the great thing about doing it that way is you could drive to a cat scale and you can get, the overall weight. But the way that these guys do it is they have a scale that each one of your tires drives onto. And so it's not only by overall weight, it's not only side to side, but it's every axle. So if your front is heavier than your back or your side is heavier than one side, he can tell you that so you can make adjustments. Maybe you have to shift some of your gear to the other side because one side's super heavy, things like that. But we like having that done. And then Jeff had weighed everything and then given us some recommendations for how we might adjust our hitch a little bit.
Yeah.
So we drove around the corner, did those adjustments, came back and got in line again, and he reweighed us with those adjustments to show us how those adjustments changed our measurements.
And he was very pleased with how well this hitch handled weight distribution. He thought it was just really, really, really well done. And Jeff weighs a lot of RVs,
right.
A lot. And as Peggy said, each wheel gets, like, they have a scale that's like a giant bathroom scale. And he puts all these numbers in. And we'll put a link in the show notes to the paper that he gave us about the weights of our truck and such. It's really a good thing to know that you are either really in good shape or you need to make a change, because it really can affect towing. And know that it's possible if you're way out of range and you have some sort of a incident on the road, some law enforcement agencies have the option to weigh your stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're way out of weight, it's not a good thing.
Right.
And so Jeff had this to say about our weight distribution hitch.
Okay, so we're comparing the numbers before and after. So we had the conversation of adjusting your hitch. You went and you adjusted the hitch. See, now you're 9,300 pounds on the truck, 4,480 on the front axle. When before you were 9,370 with 4,350 on the front axle. Okay, so we lighten that up. The rear axle, you were 5,020 pounds. Now, after adjusting the hitch, you're 4,820 pounds on the rear.
So some of the weight is on the front axle, some is on the trailer axle.
Correct. So now we're going to look at that. The gross vehicle weight of your trailer got lighter as well because we transferred weight to the truck.
Interesting.
So now your trailer is 6,210 when before it was 6,300 pounds.
Interesting.
So we transferred weight front and to the rear.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
So after checking the hitch weight after you made the adjustments, you've lightened your hitch weight up by 200 pounds. So now everything is happy.
Yay.
We like happy.
Yeah.
I like happy.
So why did we go with the WaySafe hitch instead of, we had a B&W Continuum in the past, and we had the EaseLift TR3 in the past?
I know I can answer the Continuum one really quickly. We really did like that very, very much.
Yeah, that was also a very good hitch.
But the shape of the tongue of the frame of Rockwood Mini Lights it's built in such a way that the B&W hitch has a kind of a piston, and the frame got in the way. And we actually cut a notch in our frame when we installed the Continuum on our 2205. Rockwood was not so excited that we did that, and they kind of requested that we not use that hitch on any future trailers.
If you don't know, we actually partner with Rockwood. We are their brand ambassadors for Mini Light.
So they pay attention to what we do.
Yeah, we get to work with them. We get to make suggestions on changes. It's a good situation. And when they found out we notched the frame, they were not pleased. It does not, I don't believe it has affected the frame on that trailer because it was just a cross member under the propane tanks.
Bottle.
Anyway, so when we got this new trailer, the 2506, we're like, okay, we should probably shop for another hitch. Now, I was pleased with the ease lift hitch. I thought that did a good job.
Right.
However,
we had that from before we had the B&W hitch, right?
However, that's also the hitch that when we got rear-ended, we were using that hitch. And when we started to tow this, we were using that same hitch. And it finally showed signs that, yeah, that rear ending was not, didn't leave the hitch unscathed.
It was kind of getting tired and the bolt holes were getting bigger and wearing out. So we knew that, you know, rather than, it was still working, but rather than continue to put too much stress on something that was ready to stop and kind of retire, we decided we better let it retire.
Yeah, so that's not a fault of the TR3. That's a fault of the lady who wasn't looking and rear-ended us. Other things I really like about this hitch, you can make adjustments based on knowledge. So you know what your tongue weight is. You have that free app. And you can actually make adjustments based on that, so you know you're towing correctly and safely. The quality of all the parts on this hitch are very top-notch. And I know WaySafe has started to build these overseas. So I was a little concerned about that. The quality of everything seems really, really good. And what's the third thing we really like about this hitch?
One thing I really, really like about this hitch, assuming that we're in a straight line and we're not turning at all, we can open the tailgate
on our truck,
with this. So it doesn't always matter, but on those couple of occasions that we, you know, really needed to get into the back of the truck, like I said, as long as we were in a straight line, it doesn't work so good if we're kind of turned a little bit.
Correct.
But we can open the tailgate, and like I said, it's not always a big deal, but sometimes that's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, you always want something. The more you can't do it, the more you want something.
Correct, yeah.
So that's the bottom line on the performance of this hitch. I mean, when an expert in the field says, yeah, this thing is working great, that makes a big difference to me.
Yeah.
A few things we have changed on the hitch.
Yeah, so there were a couple things. I got really spoiled with a previous hitch, I think it was, that had the kind of a pin. I don't know what they're called.
Clevis pins?
Clevis pins. I always call them clever pins.
They might be that.
It's a pin, and then it has kind of a...
It's like a D-shaped.
D-shaped,
so there's like an axle and then a
retainer thing.
Yeah.
Well, I got really in love with these retainer things, whatever they're really called, that has a little bump out at the top. So it's easy to get a hold of and pull it out. Because if I have to reach down and grab the edge of one of those clips, I'm always like snagging a nail. And not like my nails are beautiful, but breaking them hurts. It's not breaking nail because they're pretty. It's breaking a nail because it's painful. So we did get some Clevis pens that have that little thumb notch on them for where we attach the bars to the truck's part of the hitch. We also got, you know, at the back of the bars where they're attached to the trailer's tongue, there's like an L, and then it usually has a cotter pin. And cotter pins are usually a total pain in the rear end because they don't want to go in and it's hard to get them in and out. So we found some L brackets that have a built-in kind of retainer clip.
Yeah.
And it just kind of snaps down, and that keeps the L bracket in place.
And we found a plastic bearing piece in there too, because the way the WaySafe sway control works is it's friction on the head of the hitch rather than friction on the bars, bracket that comes down. So that's one of the reasons it doesn't go as you're going around a corner. So we put a little plastic kind of pad in
like
there.
Like a nylon insert.
Yeah.
Kind of, it cuts down on the wear. Before we put those on, there was quite a bit of wear, and so those black painted bars already have some bare spots that will eventually rust if we don't take care of it. which we won't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know us.
we know us.
Anyway, bottom line, these Way-Safe hitches, I think, are a really good product. I think, you know, it's as good or better than any hitch we've used thus far. And I think we have a discount on them too. I think we talked them out of a discount. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. I think the discount code is StressLess. So I have to tell you, if you hear like a little bit of background noise.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention that.
We are actually, last week we talked about the air conditioner that we put into the trailer. It's running right now, believe it or not. We normally would never record with the AC running, so we're trying that this week. And we're also on battery power.
Yeah.
We are running the AC on our Master Volt battery system.
Because we can.
Yeah.
Not because we have to. We're actually at a park with hookups, but because we can run without being hooked up and run on battery, and because we are still in kind of the testing phase, like how long can we get away with doing that, and you know, under what conditions. And so when we have the opportunity, we go ahead and turn off the power and use the battery, and then monitor, you know, how the battery reacts to running the air conditioner.
Yeah, and that's something that's impressive to me, is that I never think, oh, I'm going to break this system or overextend it or anything. So our whole battery and lithium system are all from Master Volt. They're all installed by ABC Upfitters, and it's just a system that's incredibly reliable and works. And yes, there are cheaper systems out there, but I like the fact that I don't have to worry about tinkering with a solar system to make it work. If I want to run the air conditioner, I just do.
Yep.
If I want to run anything in the RV, I just do. And it's just a good system that's stressless.
Stressless. We have talked with Bill a couple of times about how he uses his system from ABC. And now we can welcome our friends Tony and Tina.
Yes.
I miss you already, guys. We spent a lot of time
we
in the
spent
last
a lot of
month
time in
with
the
Tony
past
and
month
Tina,
with Tony
and
and
I
Tina.
really enjoyed that. And they just, in the last couple of days, picked up their new Rockwood and have the ABC system, and got ABC to do a couple tweaks, including putting the DC to DC charge controller.
We pulled into this RV park. We were at the RV Miles gathering right now.
Yeah, right now we're sneaking in on an RV Miles gathering.
And there's another couple who came up to us as soon as they saw us pull in. They're like, ooh, we got a system from ABC Upfitters too. So
they bought a mini light with a system, a 2205 with an ABC system, because that's what we had and we liked it so much.
Yeah, so, you know, if you want to be a happy customer and have a system that just works, but one that's, their system is different than the factory system that comes with a 2205 if you choose that option. So if you would like a system that's customized for how you use it, you can give the folks at ABC Upfitters a call, and that's the same number for tech support, 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225. They always answer the phone. And if you are not a phone call person and you want to look for answers first, use the link in the show notes or this QR code. I hope it fits right here, because we've referred to the QR code being right here a bunch of times. And that will take you to more information that we have about ABC Upfitters.
Yeah, they're good people doing good work, and you know what? It just works.
Okay. We talked a lot about chocolate. We've talked about towing things. You know, we've been to a couple of pretty significant new RV events in the last few weeks. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us about?
I mean, especially when you think about the fact that we have been at where all the new RVs are announced, and we really haven't talked about anything we saw. So I'm just going to mention briefly, because we'll have reviews coming out. There were 3 examples of electric RVs that we saw over the past, and these are motorhomes. One of them is from Thor, and it's a Jayco product. Well, no, now it's going to be an Integra, but anyway, it's based on this Harbinger chassis, which we drove last year, and they finally brought it to market. It's a pretty significant. We do have a full article about it at our home on the web at stresslesscamping.com. But it's electric drive. You can charge it in a campground, and it's got its own little gasoline engine on board. I went in, looked around. It's pretty neat. The one thing is, why is there propane aboard this thing? What in the wide, wide world of sports were they thinking? Because you've got gas for the gasoline engine. You've got a ton of electric reserves. They didn't put solar panels on it either. I understand the thinking. They don't want you to think you're getting more range with the solar panels, but still. Then Coachman, which is part of the Forest River family, introduced their all-electric motorhome, which they call a Class B, and it's based, GM owns this brand called Bright Drop, and essentially what those are delivery vans, right? They make these all-electric delivery vans. So this Coachman is based on the Bright Drop, and it's got some neat features, including a back window that goes clear or opaque with the push of a button. That was kind of neat. They promise like 250 to 275 mile range with theirs. The Thor, they think it's about 500 with the range extender, which means basically they're running the gas engine. So about 150 miles on electric only, and then the rest on running the gas engine. And then we saw this RV, oh gosh, what was that thing called? Do you remember? Anyway, we saw this we saw this RV designed by Pininfarina, which is an Italian company. And this thing was designed in Italy and is prototyped in California. And it's so different from anything I've seen before in terms of the build quality. Like, it's got an 8-foot slide extension, 8-foot slide.
Yeah.
And it looked like bridge girders under that thing. We have a little bit of video, but we will have a full story. And we have an interview with the head of sales from them.
It's called AC Future.
AC Future.
Yeah.
And theirs, they claim, is going to be available as electric, gas, or diesel. So you get a choice of one of the three. Different.
Yeah, I like the... I don't know if I'd like using it, but what was interesting to me is it's not just a regular slide. There's a big slide on the driver's side, and then a big slide out the back.
Yeah,
but they're not slides like these are inserted in, a little bit smaller around than the size of the RV itself. These actually have the floor folds up, and then the walls like fold in on themselves.
Yeah.
And so everything is kind of up against the outer wall instead of being an actual slide mechanism.
It's definitely different. Yeah, as Peggy said, I forgot about this, that when it's like closed up for travel, it's actually not a big vehicle. It's tall, but it's not long or wide. But then you get an 8-foot wide slide on the roadside. And the back extends out too, so you cannot use the bed when the slide is in. You
can't get to it at all. Like, you can't even accidentally stand on the slide room while it's in, because it's not the same as a slide room. It's more like a origami.
Yeah, okay, I would buy that.
That's how one of the guys said it. It's like origami folding. You fold this up, you flip the, you fold these in on themselves, you put the other part up. So yeah, really interesting, but not at all accessible on the road.
But this model that they had there, I think they said they had 1 million miles on it. Was that the number? Yeah, they had
quite a few miles. They've been like kind of testing it for like 3 years.
It looked good. I mean, it had some road rash on it, but what wouldn't after 1 million miles? Sure. So the fact that it actually ran for that long was impressive.
So hopefully, if we have a chance, because it's a very, very busy week for us, we will get that video out with the interview with the designer.
No, he was the head of sales.
For that. But if not this week, check it next week. We'll try to remind you. It will get out eventually, and then you can learn more about it from the actual sales guy.
Yeah. All right. So every week we ask you a question of the week, and you have weighed in You know what? So last week's question was, what do you say, slide or no slide in your next RV?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get any takeaway from that?
It's very divided.
Yeah.
There's nobody who doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some people who don't care. They probably didn't care to answer. There are people who are like, I could not live without the room that my slide provides. And people who are like, I wish I could have something without a slide because, as Tony, this is Tony's opinion, it's going to break. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But most of those people didn't say. Now, some did. I will admit, some people said, I've had problems with slides and therefore I don't want them anymore. A lot of people just said, I know there can be problems with slides. I've never really heard of one specifically, but I don't want them. So I don't know. I'm in the more space category and Tony's in the no slide category.
Well, simpler is better to me, but it seemed divided by how often you use your RV. If you're like a weekend warrior or casual user, those people were like, yeah, I don't want to slide. And the full-timers, I think, are almost 100%. Oh yeah, gotta have it.
Yeah, because if you're a full timer, you don't move as often, so you don't worry about the slide going in and out as often, maybe. And if you're living in this small of a space full time, you want all the extra inches you can get.
Yeah. So anyway, you can weigh in on that question in our fun and friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group. And we also have a new question for you, which I can't wait to read your answers.
This week, we're asking for our question of the week. What is your funniest campsite parking story?
Now,
I
can't wait to read those.
I'm not asking this because we have a recent one. We don't have, I'm sure we'll come up with one. I don't actually have an answer on the top of my head, but we were at a RV content creators event a couple weeks ago, and we got these cards. I happened to find one. We got these cards in our little goodie bags or welcome cups, and everyone had a question, and it was an icebreaker. So you could go up and talk to another content creator, and if you wanted to, start a conversation, you didn't know what to say, you could ask these questions. So I actually saved all the ones I could find. So when we don't have an idea for a question of the week, I can dig into that.
Yeah.
This is not the one. This I just found on the floor.
Wow. Anyway, you can ask that at our fun and friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group. Yeah, you can answer that. But you can also
ask whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, in that group, I did this week add 2 new events. One event is for our Quartzsite meetup, which is about the last week of January for about a week. And the other event, it's a little awkward on Facebook. They only let events be 2 weeks long. But we are, after the Quartzsite meetup, we will go to Santa Monica, California and start following Route 66.
Yeah, you could get your kicks.
Yeah, and so that is an event in the Stressless Campers Facebook group. And more stuff will be added there. Probably other ways that we'll be adding and talking and planning. But I just wanted to let you know, if you've been waiting to RSVP to one of those 2 events, now you can.
Now you can. We did tell you last week about a new calendar we put on our website. You access it through the newsletter, but it's the places where we are. So if you do want to meet up for a beer or just to chat, then, hopefully it helps you find us, because that would be great. Again, you find that out in our once a week fun and friendly email newsletter. You can sign up at any page on the website just about, and no, of course, we always protect your information, and we only we only send one email a week because we are lazy.
You will see the You will see the link for the current episode. You will see a link for that kind of secret calendar that tells you where we are. And you'll also see any other, things that we think are important in the RV world this week.
Yep. You will also get links to our favorite RV products and services, including this WaySafe hitch, some of which, like the WaySafe hitch, have discounts.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
And then after you've looked at all those things on our website and you can't get enough stressless camping, you can jump off to all the social places that we are using the links on our website.
Yep.
If you are listening by audio and you don't want to miss a future episode of the StressLess Camping Podcast, it's free to subscribe on any podcast app. We're saving you a seat around our virtual dinette table.
Yep. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we really appreciate your likes and subscribe. And, you hit that bell notification, all that YouTube nonsense.
All that stuff.
And of course, you also can share those episodes. We really appreciate that.
And you can share off the
grow.
website too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Click that URL and go share it on Facebook. Someone actually asked permission this morning. We hereby give you permission to share anything.
We hereby beg you to
share anything you find. That, don't take credit for it. Share it as our content.
I don't care, but whatever. Yeah, just sharing really does help. So with that, we appreciate your being here once again in episode 327 that we're recording from the RV Miles gathering.
So let's go back and gather.
Yeah, and keep traveling those RV miles.
Yeah.
Because those RV miles are
StressLess camping.
And then hi.
There's got any toilet paper I can borrow?
Sure.
Jason's here. He just busted us at the RV Miles homecoming, recording the StressLess Camping Podcast.
So if you're not a listener to RV Miles,
what are you thinking?
Yeah, what are you thinking? So RV Miles is a podcast that we really love, and they also do great news roundups. They have parkography, all of that. So anyway, we have the good fortune of being friends with these wonderful people, and they do a great job, so don't miss out.
We have the good fortune of being friends with you guys, so thanks for dropping by. Good to see you guys.
You too. Thanks, Jason.